Give me a D. Give me an E. Give me an I. What does it spell? Nothing. It spells nothing. DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. The concept has been around for a long time, but when George Floyd died in 2020, someone decided that it would be a good time to completely trash the racial progress that America had made over the last 60 years, all in the name of racial progress. Now forget for a second that we still have no evidence that Floyd's death had anything to do with race. It didn't matter. It was time to have the so-called racial reckoning. It was time to finally come to terms with the fact that America was still a systemically racist cesspool where black people were hunted down and killed by police for sport, and definitely not for aggressively resisting arrest with more drugs in their system than Elon Musk at Burning Man. In the wake of Floyd, many schools and businesses decided that in order to show that they were definitely not racist, they would introduce, or in many cases expand, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. For businesses, this meant donating heaps of money to Black Lives Matter, which they put directly into their party mansion fund, hiring more people based on factors other than merit, and forcing employees to sit through mind-numbingly boring meetings and web videos where terrible actors tell the straight white people that even if they don't know it, that they are horrible bigots and that they should be ashamed of themselves. The George Floyd aftermath was basically one big nationwide guilt trip. This mindset expanded to almost all aspects of American life. Sports teams changed their names. Statues were taken down. Defund the police became a thing. They changed street names. Bud Light decided to make a play for the discerning transgender beer drinker. Things like math, fitness, Abraham Lincoln, classical music, Thanksgiving, the terms master bedroom and peanut gallery were all linked to white supremacy in some way. The progressive left saw an opening to promote identity politics, and they ran with it like a dumb kid with a pair of scissors. Diversity is the idea of having lots of different people of all different colors and ethnic backgrounds working for you or attending your school. Which is great, because if you don't have all that diversity, you might not even know that non-white people exist or how great they are. I'm serious, that's a key component of this crap. Forced diversity is based on the idea that people are inherently distrustful of people who don't look like them, and that minorities are not getting job opportunities or getting into good schools due to discrimination. Equity is defined as being fair and impartial, but in DEI it's about applying unequal standards to ensure preferential outcomes for individuals and groups based on race, sex, and gender identity. Which in reality is the exact opposite of what the DEI people say they want, which is for all people to be treated fairly. Is giving someone a job because they are underrepresented in a field over an applicant who worked harder to become more skilled fair? And finally, inclusion is providing equal access to opportunities and resources for people who might otherwise be excluded or marginalized. Again, who wouldn't want that? But DEI is predicated on the idea that a lot of people don't want that. That racism is everywhere. The idea that millions of Americans are marginalized and excluded from participating in society because straight white people like it that way is nonsense. Look, America is far and away the most diverse country that ever existed. People of different races get along just fine for the most part. We work together, get married to each other, and there's hardly ever a problem. But that's not politically convenient for some people. The left in America needs minorities to believe that they're being treated unfairly. If minorities stop buying into that, they'll no longer need the left to save them from all the racism and homophobia. Which raises another question. What's the sign that we have become as diverse and equitable and inclusive as we're supposed to be? Will there be an announcement? Is Al Sharpton going to throw a big racism is over party? Can I attend? I'll bring queso. When will progressives decide that we don't need DEI anymore? The answer is never. They want us to keep chasing that DEI dragon in perpetuity, so they've come up with this concept that biases are inherent, that all white people are secret racists and always will be. It's kind of funny that the left views gender as a social construct, but not race and racial identity. What Black Lives Matter taught us, besides the proper way to hurl a Molotov cocktail at police officers, is that identity politics spreads division and mistrust. By their very nature, DEI programs focus on our differences, and that the so-called marginalization of minority groups comes almost exclusively from the majority, white people. It teaches that guys like me are the oppressor. DEI promotes diversity at the expense of merit. In hiring, this is flat out dangerous. Would you rather have your pilot or doctor hired based on their skill and qualifications? Or would you rather have someone of a specific group who may not have the skill and qualifications doing your heart transplant?
Hello, I'm Dr. Stupid. I'm going to take out your liver bones. Oops, you're dead. I never liked that Dr. Stupid.
DEI is bad for minorities, especially those who did get where they are because of merit. It will inevitably lead people to the assumption that minorities need DEI programs in order to succeed. It could potentially make racial animosity worse if people start to assume that a minority got where they are because of something other than their merit. At the college level, they love diversity. Of course, they hate diversity of opinion. Conservatives are shunned on college campuses while radical ideas and anti-Americanism are embraced and normalized. One of the reasons that we're even discussing ending DEI is because we saw anti-Israel sentiment and anti-Jewish sentiment on full display on college campuses following the attacks of October 7th. Again, this shows the hypocrisy of those who promote DEI. Diversity is only important when it comes to certain favored groups, but not when it comes to groups that may have racial or ethnic differences but don't fit the definition of being truly oppressed, like Jews or Asians. DEI is a solution in search of a problem that we don't have. It's an effort to steer us away from the idea of a colorblind society, which was the dream of Martin Luther King. It needs to go away. Some states like Florida and Texas have already banned it in public universities and government hiring practices. Good! The DEI industry is expensive and useless. Government and colleges are there to serve the people, not to serve as a social experiment. I don't care how many Native American lesbians there are on the Supreme Court. I just want the justices to have a deep understanding of the Constitution. We live in a meritocracy. It's one of the fundamental building blocks of our society. Yeah, it sucks sometimes. Sometimes quality and skill get overlooked. But to intentionally overlook the talent and skill of certain individuals in favor of making your business or school look a certain way is dumb. Sometimes having a certain group overrepresented is okay. You progressives can keep patting yourself on the back and hating yourselves for your skin pigmentation. The rest of us will be over here going about our lives and laughing at your increasingly woke bullshit. I'm Dan Joseph. Please subscribe to my channel by clicking the little red widget, turn on notifications, and leave your comments down below.